like double, 1.5 meters, and then I'm going to show you now how I break them down and use it. And rods, solid sticks of glass, I also buy a color. Okay, so lots of different colors. Here, some of them are pulled thin, so I can use to draw glass on glass. I'll show you that also. And then I also use broken glass. These are some of the basics. There's obviously a lot of other things you can do with glass, but I do try to integrate into the demo a lot of little tastes of a lot of techniques so that you can imagine as much as possible of what we see around the gallery. So I just put some broken glass on the table there so I'll be able to use that. Okay, so glass blowing. A few words about glass, so nobody's nervous about what's going on here. We understand what's going on up here. This fire goes over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The glass goes to about 2,400. So why am I so boldly just stick this glass right in that flame? So if we understand glass a little bit, we'll see. If you heat up glass slowly, instead of breaking, it'll melt. So instead of the full 5,000, I'll start with only a couple thousand. And then once it's a little bit warm, I'll add in oxygen, which brings it to the full hot flame. Where are my gloves? Glass, as we see, I can hold the glass a couple inches away from this very hot flame, touching the glass. So glass is an insulator, not a conductor. Right with the fire hitting the glass, it's going to thousands of degrees, but the heat doesn't transfer across, it doesn't travel to the sides. You'll notice there's always movement. I'm spinning the glass around, moving it pretty much all the time. I'm adjusting the glass to the flame pretty much constantly throughout the process. This is important. I want to get the glass hot all the way around the tube, so I have to spin it. And once it's actually hot, it changes state to a liquid. It's like liquid honey. So if I stop for even a split second, and it's this hot, it could collapse, drip down the table. Watch how I break this down and make it to a thinner tube in between thicker tubes. That'll be the handle / blowpipe of a piece that I'll make. There's a little moment of opportunity to change the shape like that, and then it's over. This is still way too hot to touch, but no longer moving. I'll do that again. So how did I get into this glass blowing? So far, we got up to college and painting. So there I was at Princeton. I didn't expect to major in art at Princeton. I don't think anyone expected that I was going to do that. But once I realized that's what I wanted to do, I thought, you know, I'm open to all kinds of art, which I still am. And I heard about glass blowing. Long story short, I like fire. It's not for everybody. It's intense every time. Come August, I'm really hot. But I was intrigued, so basically when I graduated from college, I really wanted to come back to Israel and learn. It was obvious to me, it's a big treasure chest here, and I had a lot to learn. I kind of knew nothing about the tradition. So on my way to Israel, I traveled and worked in order to get here, and I went to meet some friends of friends who were glass blowers near Seattle in Washington. It wasn't Chipotle, other people. I got a little taste, they let me try to set up something like this. And I thought it was amazing. I had a great time. I also saw how hard it is. It was obvious I couldn't just pick it up in my 2 days there. I had to take it to Israel literally 2 days later. So I got on that plane, I thought, you never know if I'm ever going to do this again. Came to Israel and started to learn, came to Jerusalem, started to learn. Within a year and a half, actually 2 years, I got married, mazel tov. Started having kids, mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Years went by, didn't think about class. And then about 12 years ago, I took a class in Canada. That was in Red Deer, Alberta, again, the middle of nowhere. This class introduced me to amazing techniques, amazing glass blowers. I saw them at work before my eyes, that really amazing things could happen with this material. So I was sure I wanted to continue at that point. I still really couldn't do anything at that point. On a brave day, that little baby was like a baby in my arms those days. So glass blowing, baby and arms doesn't exactly go together so well. So say as we say in Israel, slowly, 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 very slowly. I would try, every once in a while. On a brave day, I'd light the fire, try to melt a little glass. Basically, I put the baby to sleep, put the monitor on the side of the table here, light the fire, go get the baby. That was my first 2 years. And years have gone by. Nice people like yourselves keep coming and keep getting to practice. And here we are. So now I'm going to get to the point where we can use this piece. I'm going to break this down one more time, and then I'll make a piece. I do think I'll make a pomegranate today. And basically when I got into glass blowing, we were just moving here to Tzfat. So this is my intro to Tzfat, your intro to Tzfat since you just got here. Tzfat is a special place. I thought to myself, what's the connection? Tzfat is a city, as we know, it's famous for being a place of spirituality, Kabbalah. What does that mean? This is a place where, say, we look deeper inside to things. The normal questions that we're asking, usually they say pretty much on the surface, what, when, where, who, how much. Life is fine. And then we get to Tzfat, we start to delve into deeper questions like, who am I? Why? What is this material? How do I relate to it? Relationships with people, meaning of moments in our lives, going deeper to everything. So I thought, I need to look into glass if I'm blowing glass in Tzfat on that deeper level. Look in the sources. And what I found in the sources really amazed me. It reminded me of what I'm showing you. It says in the prophecy of Jeremiah, we are like the material in the hands of the craftsman. Right? We're created. We're the material. So when we see something being created, we can relate to the material. How am I like clay in the hands of the potter? Wood in the hands of the carpenter? Glass, metal, fabric, any material. So how are we like this material? Any ideas? It's a paradox, so it might be kind of hard to say. On one side of the spectrum, as we just saw, so flexible, right? So malleable. On the other side of the spectrum, fragile, right? It's a big paradox. Broken and whole, basically, is what it says there, which sounds familiar. It is familiar. It's our life story, right? We've been through so much. And yet, here we are, basically chilling in Tzfat 2017 with the girl next door from Denver. How did we all get here, right? It relatively simply, overall, if you would think less than 70 years back out of the ashes of the Holocaust, nobody could have thought of this. Like a relatively relaxing situation, all things considered. So how do we actually do that? Coming out of so much brokenness towards wholeness again and again. It's a big question without little cute simple answers. Let's say the sages, we can look at this material, we can look at glass and get a sense of ourselves. This technique of adding color that I'm doing now, where you take the hot glass, roll it in broken pieces, and they stick to the glass, and I put it back in the flame, melts them in, they become little dots of color. This is a way of adding design to the piece. So this reminded me of this source. Says the Navi, we're broken and whole. Broken pieces, put them in the flame, it becomes a whole piece. And this is an ongoing, if you watch a glass blower, me right now, or if you ever see glass blowing, it's an ongoing process of broken to whole, again and again and again. So we see from glass, we have this amazing perseverance like glass. And the way that it works, goes all the way through, we need the fire. Right? The fire is the key. The fire is a symbol of all the good stuff, right? Family, doing something good, thinking something good, good intentions even, you guys coming on this trip, listening, being a giving person, all the good, positive, building, binding type things, that's like the fire. In an environment like that, the brokenness isn't the end of the story. The brokenness actually becomes part of the beauty. It gets integrated, becomes part of it. That's a mysterious level that one day we'll understand that even all the hard and broken and difficult things were good. So there's an idea that we say at a certain point, we'll say everything on Tova HaMeitiv. It was good and it was all good. So this little moment with the glass reminds me of that as well, that even though it's kind of hard to see that in the world now, you can see it at least with the glass and know that that's also talking about us. This is another way of adding color. I'm taking this stick of glass. Here I did some dots on there, see that? And then I promised I would, so I will. Draw a little bit with these sticks of glass. Another way of adding color. For me, this is a kind of nice combination of worlds, the drawing, painting, and glass all in one, which I like. So, give a little sense. And this type of, like I mentioned before, these techniques that I'm showing you the very most simple version in a way. So you can imagine taking it, this drawing technique could go on for hours. But I'll just do a few. The end of the stick melts off onto the tube. As you notice, the piece of my hand is getting shorter and shorter as I go. So it's only so long I'll be able to do it. Too short. So we get the idea. And now, one of the things that I am into, especially now, have been recently, is doing this drawing technique on the glass, say all the way through, making a whole picture on the glass, and then making that into something. So I started making a series of shot glasses that are based on the 7 species. And each glass has a whole picture in it of the tree, for example, the pomegranate. Tree, the roots going down in the water, the pomegranates, and it's a whole scene on there. It takes hours. Like here I did a couple little lines, but you can imagine. Okay, so getting to the blowing. This is the whole thing. This is what we signed up for. Glass blowing. So every artist has their tools, machines, ways of making things. The glass blower's main tool is their breath, their life force. Very basic, very fundamental. So we have an opportunity to think about breathing for a moment. Normally we don't think about breathing, we just do it. It's a natural, involuntary function as long as we're here. We don't have to think about it, it happens anyway. But when we do think about it, amazing things can happen because we can get a lot of insight. And glass blowing allows for that too. So, even though we don't normally think about breathing, we do have moments. For example, when you were born, somebody noticed for sure. When your child, grandchild's born, somebody notices. Newborn baby, nobody misses that. It's an incredible, awesome, obvious moment. We forget afterwards. But that first breath that we all breathe is reminding us not only how amazing this new life coming into the world is, it is that, but also reminding us of the very beginning. The very first person, Adam, came to life with a breath. Adam in Hebrew is the same root word as Adamah, which means earth. Dirt, good material, but not much happening yet. I mean, it says this little puff of air is going into Adam, and it came to life. That's the glass blower analogy. You see a glass blower blowing into the glass, you get a little experienced sense of this amazing moment. So the material, we are the material, right? We are the vessel to receive every single time we receive a breath and breathe a breath. It's another opportunity. Not only that, the connection to our source, as we see with glass blowing, in a way it's very, very close and direct. Right? The glass blower has to blow right in there. And in a way there's that a little bit of distance, the straw, the blowpipe in between the actual hot piece that moves and the breath, where the breath is coming from, the source. So watch how I make that shape. Air goes in, pushing out the glass, making a shape. How do I know how hard to blow?
Yes, it's
Good question, right?
practice.
Practice, and there's a whole spectrum of what can happen. So here my goal was to make the shape, and sometimes I need to cut the glass as well. So watch how I open it up also with the breath. Obviously only done on purpose and carefully. Popping the glass with the breath, blowing that bubble super thin and then popping in. So that's a messy, exciting way to cut the glass, but I want you to see the spectrum. Because we see with this, it's all very specific, right? I have to blow at the right moment, hard enough but not too hard, stop at the right moment. Everything's very specific, or it doesn't work. And this is just like our breath as well, giving us a little bit of, the tiniest bit of appreciation as to how perfect and amazing every breath is. We're breathing away whether we notice it or not. We're being thought of, everything's set up just right, going into just right. Much better than a glass blower making a pomegranate every time, right? So here I'm going to make the crown of a pomegranate. I'm open to questions if anybody has any. So, one last thing I'll share with you while I finish this up. I realized after doing this many times, we have in our tradition a glass, even a broken glass, right? At the chuppah, the wedding ceremony. So why are we breaking glass at such a happy moment? So remembering at this very happy moment, not only is this wonderful occasion happening, the world's still broken, we have to remember. We can't just forget it. Maybe infuse the brokenness of the world with the joy of that moment, we break a glass. So I started to make a glass for the wedding to be broken. But we don't stop there. As we saw here today, the broken pieces aren't the end of the story. Broken pieces we can reintegrate them. So they're sent back to us here. We take a new piece of glass, heat it up, roll in the broken pieces. Some of them stick, melt them back in, and then I make a new piece, a gift for the bride and groom. Usually I make them as a cover, kiddush cup, pomegranate, salt dish, there's options. There's a visual display of that in brochures in the front of the gallery if you guys want to check that out, where you see the cup, broken pieces, and then the final product. So this is, again, a way to integrate these beautiful ideas, meaningful ideas into our lives, where it might be actually in the end. This is a cover on the door that has pieces from the cup from the wedding, reminding us and keeping us connected in that way. Anyone who's interested, there's a clipboard up here at the front hanging on the wall. This symposium that we have with the maestro coming, different guest artists coming through, this is something that will continue, God willing. So if you want to hear about what's happening here, put your email on there. We will not bombard you with emails, I promise. I hope to get emails from us. It's not my strong point, but I am working on it. And that's a way to stay connected. Also, obviously, you can look online. I have a website and on Facebook and Instagram under my name. And sometimes with the pomegranates, I open the bottom, so it's like a candle cover. You go over a candle. I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave this one closed and see what happens. This is not one of those head massager thingies. Super hot. I just made that crown. It was just in the thousands of degrees, so I can't hold it by that. So I need to hold it with this tool. Any tool that touches the glass is pulling heat out of the glass. And usually I don't want that to happen because I either want the glass to stay hot as long as possible so I can actually do something to it, or I don't want to shock the glass. So in this case with metal, you don't want to shock the glass. So I'm heating it up the metal a little bit so it bridges the gap, hopefully, enough that it won't shock the glass. Okay? And then I'll take off that. So really everything you see in the gallery is made some variations on what you've seen here. This should give you a sense of a lot of the different techniques that we use to make all the pieces. At least you can imagine a pomegranate from beginning to end. And remembering those beautiful ideas, reminding ourselves of that incredible perseverance that we live, the value of each breath, our own and each other's. It matters what we think, right? Choosing to think towards the positive is very important for the world as we've all begun to notice more and more. So in theory I could open that up. I don't think I'm going to though right now. There are examples of the open pieces of the pomegranates as well. And anything you see in the gallery, everything's available. There's beautiful artwork available if you're looking for gifts or something for your home. We pack and ship. pack the glass well and ship it if you're worried about glass getting anywhere. So that's something that I've learned to worry about for everybody.
Bravo.
Thanks.
Wow.
So here's a new piece. And we see the broken pieces become these little dots. The drawn on lines. I did try to do some leaves kind of coming off the top there. And the shape made with the breath and keep the movement. This one's still hot, but just for another couple minutes, you'll be able to check it out in maybe like four-ish minutes. With glass, the whole question of how long it takes to cool off is just connected to how thick it is. And this isn't so thin that you can like break it with your hand, but it's thin enough. Within 5 minutes, it should be cooled off. If I had a brick of glass, it could take a few days to cool off. So I'll put this here, and yeah, I'm gonna give you guys some time to look around. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.